Over 40 million people use ChatGPT to ask a health question today.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Which is astounding,
It's like,
right?
yeah.
That is incredible. The
like
number of health
270 or 80
questions.
million a week.
Yes. We are talking about a scale that is unprecedented as far as medical questions being asked, from I have a headache to let me send you a photo of my child's poop because I don't know what's going on. And I'm going to ask AI what's happening.
Yeah. Most of medicine is in the dark ages when it comes to technology.
Yes, exactly.
It's analog.
Yes.
I mean, it's literally pen and paper, but it's on a computer screen now. Mm-hmm. But it's still pen and paper. There's no intelligence behind the way doctors make decisions other than their medical training, their residency, continuing education, the cases they've seen.
Yep.
And it's limited to that. They don't have access to the world's scientific literature. They don't have access to millions and millions of cases. Hey, wouldn't you have your X-ray or MRI read by a radiologist who's seen billions of scans versus thousands, right?
Absolutely. I'd sign up for that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think what's happening now is that we're in this moment where we're going to be applying technology to medical decision making, whether it's your personal decisions about what to do with your own biology, because many things, 80% of things that people find, especially on function labs and in a checkup, can be handled by you alone with the right guidance, what you eat, how you exercise, sleep, right supplements, lifestyle changes, removing toxins from your life. Very basic things can make a profound difference in your health that don't need drugs or don't need a prescription or don't need a doctor in the loop. And then, of course, if you do need a doctor, we'll tell you when and where to go.
You talk a lot about N of 1, and I think we're just getting closer and closer and closer to actually be able to do N of 1 medicine and living our life. Like, again, it's really only possible because these two things are happening at the same time. So bringing the two together and marrying those two is just such a phenomenal unlock for people.
It's true. I mean, most of medicine is generic. We look at a randomized controlled trial or an observational study. We try to apply that to an individual, but it's not related to them.
Yep.
You know, Roger Williams, who's a father of this concept of biochemical individuality, said, statistical humans are of little interest. I'm interested in real people.
Yeah.
And I think this is where the N of 1 medicine, N of 1 means how do you occur in this moment and how do you change over time in response to different interventions? What's more important to me is how you respond to a certain diet, how you respond to a certain lifestyle change, how you respond to a certain medication, not how somebody else does.
Nope.
Because it's not relevant to you.
Yes.
And so this is really what we mean about precision or personalized medicine, N of 1 medicine. It's all the same thing. And we've never been able to achieve that before because we didn't have the ability to apply technology to the massive data sets we can now collect. I mean, we can collect so much information on people now, rather than like maybe 20 or so lab tests in your checkup and the doctor looks in your ears and listens to your lungs and checks your heart. And like, it's kind of a waste of time almost. And you're going to find stuff in some people who are really sick, but you're not going to detect those subtle signals that occur decades before there's any disease occurring.
Yes.
And so now we can see these patterns and we can see these subtle signals using massive data set collections for medical history, deep biomarker lab testing, deep imaging testing, the omics, the whole revolution of looking at your genes and epigenome and proteome and microbiome. All these things we can start testing, toxin levels, your wearables, things like glucose monitors. All these things can help us understand your biology far better, along with your medical history, your family history, your symptoms. And then we put all that together and it tells a story of you. And when you have the story of you, you know how to act.
And it's all about establishing that baseline longitudinally. Like you're talking about all these incredible data points, and just imagine that over the course of your life, you've established a baseline, you know how to compare based on 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago. The beauty of that is that we have an understanding over time of our own biology, because you and I are just so far, like we're just so different. So why are we even in a world where those are compared? We should just be comparing with ourselves, our past self, and where we're going.
It's so true. And there's a lot of literature that supports this idea that you need to know your individual lab tests, not the reference ranges. For example, if your liver function test is 20, and the next year it's 30, it's still normal, but something's going on.
Yep.
Or if your PSA is 1 for your prostate and it goes to 2, it's still normal, but something's going on.
Yeah.
And those signals can't be detected like from just a normal reference range in a lab. You have to see how you change over time, given what you're doing.
And then you add the AI on top that is able to ingest and understand that about you. So anytime you ask a question, it has all of this historical knowledge that you wish your physician had, right? Like you wish that when you spot it, like, isn't that an astounding thing? Like if I come to you as a patient, I'm expecting you to remember 30 something years of data, that is a big ask. And now we have this unlock that your AI LLM of choice can do that.
That's right.
It's like phenomenal.
That's what's beautiful about function. It makes AI better. Doctors can make better decisions when they have that information, and you can make better decisions. Like, for example, for me, if someone comes in and their cholesterol is off, I don't know what it was last year, 2 years ago, 10 years ago. I don't know the pattern that's changing. It's getting better. It's getting worse. I have sometimes these obsessive patients that will create spreadsheets over decades and then produce these graphs and charts. I'm like, this is amazing. I can actually see what's going on.
Yes.
But until now, that's a rare thing. With function, you can see all those trends. You can see those patterns. You can watch the graphs. You can see change over time. And it's
make it really easy for you to
really easy. And then you can spot things long before they become a problem. For example, someone puts in a question about, I have a headache, and there's no context. There's no other history. There's no lab data. It's hard to know what's going on. It could be because someone hit you in the head with a hammer. It could be because your hormones are dysregulated if you're a woman and you have premenstrual syndrome and low progesterone, high estrogen. It can be because you're eating gluten and that's causing migraines. It could be because you have a microbiome problem that's causing a disturbance in your gut bacteria that create inflammation that can cause headaches. It could be because you're low magnesium, which we measure on function. You know, all these things can be the reason. And if you don't know the other symptoms, then it's hard to know what to do. And it's hard to know what the answer is. It's hard to know how to give advice. So the more data you have about your history, your symptoms, your lab data, the more you can personalize care.
I completely agree. And for me, speaking from example, I am almost a year postpartum, and the amount of times I have gone into said AI, I just give as much data as possible and say, here's my deal. I am 1 year postpartum. I am doing this. I am breastfeeding. I am not breastfeeding. Here's what I ate. Now tell me what's up. But if I add my function data into that, it's far more informed about my nutrient levels, why I'm doing XYZ, has my breast milk production gone down, and why. Like, there's just so much richness. Even if you're a master prompter, there's so much more rich information, again, with data being there from my labs or from self-reported data versus just my prompt. And I think that's a really important point, because I think some people are like, I can just prompt it away and tell you everything I need, but you're inevitably going to miss something that if you had your function data in there, it would just be far more informed about, again, your state, how old you are, what you're up to, all these things that you don't necessarily think about informing your AI every time you chat with it.
And it can also link to all your wearables. So maybe you have a headache because you didn't sleep all night.
Exactly.
You know, you've got a fever, or then you're having some infections starting up. You don't even know that your temperature will show. So connecting all those variables makes a huge difference.
Huge. There's so many use cases of using AI to prep you along the journey of medicine, from when you're starting to feel ill to when you're very ill to when you are in the hospital to after the hospital. Anything that is going on with your body that seems off is basically a use case for why there are 40 million people using ChatGPT to ask a health question today.
Absolutely. I think there's another reason too.
What is it?
I think that healthcare is so episodic. You know, you go to the doctor once a year, or if you have symptoms, you go to the doctor. And people have issues and questions all the time. And they can't see the doctor every minute. And so our healthcare system is set up not to really help people with everyday issues that they're trying to sort through. So I think people don't get the answers from their doctor that they want to get. They're not hearing the depth that they want to hear. They're not spending more than 8 to 15 minutes on an average doctor visit. It's hard to kind of get the whole story in. And the doctors are busy. They're trying to do their best. And it's nothing wrong with them. It's just the way the system's set up. And, you know, I would often spend 1 or 2 or 3 hours with people in order to fully understand what's going on with their health. That's what's required. But you can't do that in a healthcare system. But you can spend 10 hours with an AI model, and it's very patient. It has all the time in the world. And you can ask all the follow-up questions, and you can get information and keep going. And I think that's what really makes it exciting, is we can do that. But now we can do it not just randomly. We can do it with context. We can do it with your function data. And that function data provides a real deep picture of what you're feeling, what you're doing, what's happening in your body, and actually what to do about it.
What a magical time where you can literally chat at any hour and it will respond with sort of exactly what you need to know in the right tone and be there for you in a way that I think it's very challenging to ask a physician to do. Like, that is not necessarily something that we should expect from our physicians every day, but we do, because that is a relationship that we've developed with physicians in the US at least. But now we don't have to. We have this as an option, particularly as someone who's sort of been through the journey of having various diagnoses with PCOS, prediabetes, was pregnant, postpartum, I have personally felt that over time I've been a little bit mistreated sometimes when I've gone to a physician. And I've felt like my problems haven't necessarily been heard. And if I don't word them the right way, they might be perceived as something else. So I go in, I say I have a headache, or I go in, I say I have irregular periods, or whatever it was. You're kind of told to do the thing that the physician was trained to. So for me, that was
take the pill.
Take the birth control pill, right? Like, we'll give you a pill. And it might be a variety of pills these days. And that was the solution. And for me, I've found that we are finding a lot of confidence using AI to not only understand what's going on, but also feel far more informed and empowered to ask for what we need. Advocate, push back. Like, the confidence here is so important. It's not necessarily something that just comes naturally when you have something off, because again, you trust that your physician knows more. But now we are coming in with like a first opinion, a second opinion, a fourth opinion, like full knowledge on what to ask for. And that can go across so many things. There's people who have endometriosis, people who have PCOS, people who have perimenopause, menopause symptoms. And those folks don't necessarily get heard in a way, historically, that don't get heard in a way that enables them to feel empowered. And now I just feel like with AI, we have so many resources at our fingertips to really kind of hone in on, okay, what's exactly happening with me? Add in my function data. Like, yeah, my hormones are out of whack. Yeah. Like, no one can tell me otherwise. And no duh, I feel XYZ way. Yeah. I feel off. I feel heavy. I feel fatigued. I have brain fog. Like, I know that. And guess what? My data tells me the same thing. And AI is like, hey, let's point to these things that are going on. I have personally uploaded my function results into AI, and it's told me things in a way that is very clear and not necessarily, hey, just take the pill.
Right.
Because that's not the end all be all.
There's so many different options that people have that doctors aren't trained in, which is lifestyle and whole systems medicine. We don't learn how to create health. We learn how to treat diseases. So if you got a disease, we're give you the pill, but we don't really do a good job of digging to find the cause most of the time. We don't really know how to create health for people. And also, particularly in women's health, it's striking, but most physicians were never really trained in women's health.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to learn about it after I graduated medical school and residency. I mean, I knew sort of the basics, and none of that really gives you the context of why are hormones so out of whack? It's not normal. There's not a design flaw in humans. It's just things that are causing it.
Yes.
And so women need to be able to take control of their health and be empowered with the knowledge and the data. And I think having their own blood data and their biological markers in the context of the level of medical intelligence that's out there with AI is going to just transform health.
Yes. And it goes from, asking the questions of like, is this normal? I feel really off. I have this. Like, you're almost second guessing yourself every time. You're like, should I compare it to like my girlfriend next door? Like, what's going on with me? To the question you can say is, this is happening. What do I do about it? There's no question, right? This is actually happening and I'm experiencing it. And to your point around the training, it's honestly because women weren't required to be in clinical trial research until 1993.
Yeah.
So I joke about this, but it's very real. I almost feel like we're running experiments. Like, we're all the women today, we are basically running experiments on ourselves because there's not enough research longitudinally that goes back enough decades to have a sense of what's going on.
Yeah, and treatments, most drugs are studied on men.
Yes, and so we're living in a world where all of these things are happening. Hormones are out of whack. We don't feel heard. And then when it comes time to actually getting something done, it still feels like there's an uphill battle to be heard and get the right treatment because the research might not be there. All of this to say is not doomsday, right? It's actually far more empowering now that we have AI plus function to really get a deep understanding and be able to advocate for ourselves.
Function is a really revolutionary health platform. You can collect large, massive data sets on your biology and your health. It means your medical history, all your symptoms, your family history, your medications, what supplements you're taking, deep set of blood tests, and then you can do more. There's add-ons that go deeper on brain health, or on hormone health, or on immune health, and around so forth, toxin levels. And then you have all the wearables. So you have every wearable you can possibly imagine, you can load up into your data set. We're going to be able to get your genetics, your microbiome, along with massive imaging data we can track longitudinally. So full body MRIs can be done every year as a standard care. We can look at cancer screening. We can look at so many things that provides a really deep 360 picture of your health that most people have never had done. It is not proactively checked most of the time, but having that proactive information, that data, gives you the ability to make sense of it all, and to use technology to make sense of it all, and to use AI to make sense of it all, to give you a clear roadmap of what's happening, where's your biology right now, where are you headed, and what do you do to avert a problem? Or if you have a problem, what do you do to reverse it?
With Function and any connector to an AI, you get a secure ability to upload everything you just said. All the lab results, all the historical data, all of these data points, plus clinician notes, so that the AI is the most informed before you start chatting with it.
Well, doctors need help. We're overwhelmed, overloaded, overworked, and we need help making decisions. And the more data we have, the more clearly it's sorted and organized, it allows us to just think, not just be processing computer typers that enter all this data in and then have 3 seconds to sort it through at the end of a visit. And so now for me, I'm able to process all this data. I'm able to look at a patient's story to understand everything and not really have to talk to them that much because they've already given all the data. And then I can explain things to them and I can tell them the story of what's happening. I can tell them the why underneath it all. I can help them understand what they need to do to solve it all, rather than just say, here's a prescription, see you later. Like that period of medicine is over. And so the beauty of this is that it makes medical decisions better for you individually and also for your doctor.
Yeah, and ideally it makes you as a physician get to spend time doing what you actually love to do.
Absolutely.
Not admin, not paperwork, not a ton of research on the side. It's just simply a tool to make you do what you do best.
I mean, it was exhausting, Pranitha. I would sit and spend an hour and a half collecting medical history, typing everything, asking every question, putting it all in, and typing in their lab data, making a problem. It was like, it took me forever. Yeah. And then by the end of that, I might have 10 minutes to tell them and process it in my head and then tell them what the plan was. Right. Now I get to look at them. Yes. I get to connect with them. I get to talk to them. I get to spend time explaining things. I get to help them really understand and have a buy-in to what's happening. And it's much more effective in helping them understand their health and then doing something about it because they'll understand the why.
Speaking as a single patient, I know that patients love the ability to actually feel seen and feel heard far more than like like here's a prescription, bye. Yeah. That's what we're looking for, right? Like that human connection. Yeah. We have AI to help us with understanding what's going on. And then when I come to you, if I'm a patient of yours, I would love to feel seen and heard, like you're saying, right? Like the empathy from a physician is often what we need and what we're missing. And that's hard with AI. It is like, I want that human connection. And I know many people do, which this really helps unlock for physicians.
The beauty of AI is that it helps assemble, sort, digest, process, and organize information, and can do that with large amounts of your biological data and your historical data. What it puts out has to be filtered through some level of intelligence, human intelligence. And I think that's where the physician comes in. That's where guidance comes in. That's where support comes in with people who understand how this applies in real life. Maybe this is off. Maybe this isn't quite right. Maybe overemphasize this and underemphasize that. So it's really a tool, but it's not the answer.
I completely agree. It also comes down to you as the person, right? Like as the person asking the question, there's a level of intuition that you have where you don't have to say, this is the truth. You now know more about what's going on. So you can ask the right questions. You can push back with your doctor. You can agree with your doctor. You can talk to a nutritionist, like whoever you're speaking to that's part of your, call it care team in your life. There's so many pieces here that come back to you as the individual now know more. And so there must be that layer and filter of your own judgment around what AI is telling you, which is such a powerful thing. Like I wouldn't let AI just like define everything that you're thinking of and make you doubt your own intuition when that is such a core part of all of this when you think about your own health and how you feel empowered.
Yeah, and it can also help physicians make better decisions because they might not think of everything. In fact, I had a patient this week who had terrible cholesterol, a 72-year-old guy, who had a calcium score, which is a good baseline test to look at the plaque development, but it doesn't detect whether the plaque is old or new, whether it's soft or hard, and the soft plaque is the most dangerous plaque. So what we're looking with a calcium score can give us a picture, but it's incomplete.
Yeah.
And I said, before we know what to do with your cholesterol, we need to know what's happening in your arteries.
Yeah.
So we need an AI-enhanced CT angiogram, which is something the doctor didn't recommend. And he went to a very reputable hospital, world famous, top care. And I read the note from the doctor. I'm like, wow, this doctor missed this. He might not know about it. It's something that's happening not within the spectrum of traditional care, but you talk to cardiologists who are at the leading edge, like, yeah, I can't make any decisions without this new tool. It's like trying to, operate on a tumor without knowing where it is before we had MRIs. You actually can see what's going on and then you can make a decision. But I thought that was kind of revealing that even in a top medical center, what he needed was missed, but AI would have picked it up.
We know how secure and how private function is, and we want to make this as easy as possible, and most importantly, as secure as possible for you as a function member to upload your data
so
into
the whole internet
the
doesn't
system.
know your health data.
Exactly. Your longitudinal health data, right? Like, we're so freely giving this information. How do we actually consider how this information and data is being used? And so that is deeply important for us as we think about sort of how we set this up for our members.
And there's a reason why there's medical privacy. I mean, one of the most kind of tough laws on the books. So it's a big deal. But we're just kind of throwing it out there without any safety or parameters.
Yeah, because I don't think the average person realizes or knows maybe how secure medical data is. Because again, it's theirs. And that's what we believe. At Function, we believe that the data is yours. Ultimately, you can do whatever you want with it. It's your data. It's not
We're not selling it. We're not.
Exactly. So it's really important to us that we guide you, because now you have all this information. How do we guide you in a way that makes it as secure and safe as possible to use AI? So when it comes to partnerships with the AI companies that we've partnered with, Copilot, OpenAI, Perplexity, and Claude, it's been of utmost importance to us to create a relationship with them that really allows for Function members to own their data. What I mean by that is, in a specific chat, the only information that we are giving to the company is the ability for them to know this information with you, which means they are not training their AI models on your data, which is critically important. The PDF world, where you're just uploading your own data, they can do whatever they want with that information.
That's right.
So when we think about security, that is very critical. And the second thing is, as a user, you can connect or disconnect whenever you want. That's your choice, which means you turn it on, and then 3 months later, you'd like to disconnect your information. It's gone. They don't have that information on you anymore. So for us, two of those tenets have been critically important as we think about the relationships that are building for the first time in these spaces or Function at any AI company. Exactly. It could be Wild West, and we're taking it and making it as secure and safe as possible. In a world where we're really thinking about the safe and secure use of data, there is also a world in which people have access now to vibe code, create, build anything from scratch, and seem like they have authority.
Yeah.
Like, what a world, right? Like, there's the goodness, and then there's the things that you might not actually want in your space, particularly with your healthcare data.
Yeah,
so I think it's exactly. And so I think it's really important to consider where you are saying yes, where you are opting in to giving your health information. And it can seem really compelling, or it can seem like it has a silver bullet solution, or it can seem beautifully branded. But if you don't actually know who and what is behind that thing that you are uploading your data to, you might catch yourself in a place where you don't actually want to be giving information there. And so we as Function are so strict about the kind of the guardrails we're building. And we're very, very focused on making sure that people have, again, authority over their own data, when they want to use it, when they don't want to use it, as we build our secure connector with these AI companies.
And Jerome was saying is there's hackers out there that are doing stuff to kind of steal your health data.
Yeah, and it's not just hackers, right? Yeah, I think the word hacker can sometimes feel like, oh, you have to have this niche professional like skill set.
Yeah.
But with AI, you can have very basic skills and do a lot, which is
you don't have to know any programming languages.
Correct. You can build a lot with very little knowledge and information. Right. And it's not to say that everything is doomsday, but it is sort of a cautionary tale for ensuring that you know where you're saying yes and where you're clicking into, as so many products out there will likely emerge in the space that seem like they have authority.
Yeah.
So when we think about the partnerships we've established, those were very carefully crafted and selected. Those that are willing to work with us, willing to understand that, hey, this is hard. This is a healthcare partnership. This is health data. And this is not necessarily going to be an easy relationship from a legal standpoint. We are very careful in how we're thinking about these partners. So the folks that we've chosen to partner with really stand by sort of the same tenets that we care about when it comes to health data. So if you're looking for our trusted AI partnerships, I would go to functionhealth.com/AI. And that's our list of trusted partners that we have chosen to work with. So we chose a AI agnostic approach, which means we've partnered, as I've said, with many AI companies because we know that it is not necessarily one company that's doing all. We know that folks are using different AIs for different reasons. I myself have multiple accounts with all of the LLMs. For us, it's really important to meet you where you're at. Like, our function members aren't just going to one place. We understand that you might use all sorts of products throughout your work week or throughout your day, and we want to make sure that we are there for where you are.
So what's been missing is your health context. Pranitha, so many of our members are already loading up their health data AI chat, and the data was so powerful and the information they got was so personalized. They were blown away by it. And that's why we partner with all these AI companies so we can have a secure way to do that. Your AI has always wanted to help you understand your health better, but it didn't have all the information. It didn't have the context. It didn't have the whole story. Now it does.